Here in Sedona, Arizona, I'm sitting down with Kody, Mary, Robin, Christine and David, and Janelle to talk about their future and dive deeper into their past. This is Sister Wives One-on-One.
It's really interesting to see how much you've moved on in your life. And I want us to talk about this because is it a comfortable feeling? Is it an uncomfortable feeling? And is it the right feeling for you that you've always wanted and you didn't know until you had it? Can we watch this clip?
Is it gonna be that wedding one? Probably is.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Great.
I'm always for it.
You're making me laugh. Let's watch this and see what's going on.
All right.
I mean, Kody and I were always very affectionate, but I was always uncomfortable. Like, I just was uncomfortable with PDA in front of everybody.
This is so gross. Ew.
How is that with you guys, seeing me physically affectionate?
I like it.
So we kiss and we hug in front of our kids. And David and I just don't care. That's fun. It's fun, right?
What's
I know.
changed?
Everything. Confidence. Confidence what changed. I can just be me.
How did that feel? Is it surprising you?
Not really. I'm pretty impressed with her ability to manifest. Like in a plural marriage, she could have never done that. Like, I'm excited for her to have this kind of love and this kind of experience, this kind of falling in love, having somebody she's just passionate about, somebody who's just digging on her, you know. That's really the kind of romance she always wanted. And it was a romance that her and I were struggling to find.
So are you okay with PDA?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I don't know. I'm a little shy about, like, a full makeout session, that's all.
Yeah. How do you feel about PDA?
I think there's a limit.
What's the limit? Describe, like, what you're okay with and what you're not okay with.
When it gets to the point that somebody says, get a room, that's probably a little bit too much.
Kody wished for the ability to express more PDA. And I just think it just didn't work for us for whatever reason.
Why do you feel like you weren't able to achieve that, though?
There was family rules or family culture that was already there before I came along.
You felt like you didn't have a voice or a say in the family.
Oh, I was told I didn't have a say. I was told that I needed to conform to what they were doing and I was trying really hard not to, rock the boat too, but.
Can you share who told you that? Not.
I'd just rather not point fingers.
When true love is exposed, it calls down wrath. And it's like the world hates true love so much that they want to be really, really crappy about it. So it's been a painful experience falling in love, not from the person I fell in love with, but from the world outside of it.
Let's talk about tension, and Coyote Pass has been really that source of tension for you. So let's take a look at this clip and find out how you feel about it and where you stand.
Okay.
I'm gonna suggest to you that you protect your interest in it as far as what you're entitled to, a quarter of it.
I'm only legally a third owner of one of the 4 parcels.
When you get an offer, I'll email them and I'll say, I've got this realtor, we've got an offer, here's how we will do this. If you guys agree, because they don't legally have to agree, even though a couple of them are partners on different lots.
So I haven't seen all of that, and I just saw where he said, legally, I don't have to have their approval. That doesn't make me happy. It makes me really frustrated that he says that he can do. But, I mean, look at it. Look at, his name is on every piece of property. He could do whatever he wanted.
All right, so when it comes to Coyote Pass, do you think Kody is going to be fair to all of the other women when it comes to the division of what the asset should be?
Absolutely not. He's just not a fair person. He's very greedy when it comes down to money.
Why?
I think that he's gonna screw Mary and Janelle completely.
So when you say that you can't trust him, have there been instances in the past where he hasn't been fair?
I do remember I would ask him about the property, and he would always get mad when I'd ask him about it. He would always be angry, like that I was asking, he was like, well, what do you think? Who do you think is gonna take care of you? And I'm like, I don't think you're taking care of me. And that used to make him so mad.
Okay.
I just think he's always looking out for himself and now for Robin and himself. He just always somehow thinks he's somehow entitled to more, which is just, it's astounding. I think he really is just kind of inherently selfish.
There was no reason for them to think that I wasn't going to be fair.
Well, it feels like there was some distrust there that you weren't going to be fair?
Because Janelle and Mary are both leaving me going, wish I had some way to get alimony.
It's interesting, and I've started to observe that Kody likes to, he's attacked all of his wives that are leaving in the area that hurts them the most, or that they value, right? For Christine, it was devastating that he wasn't physically attracted to her. And for me, I'm one of those people who wants to be very fiscally responsible and very about, like, let's be responsible with our money. And so he wants to, like, sort of undermine that.
Yeah, with her with finances, knocking her down so she doesn't feel smart.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's rude. He knows the buttons to push. So with me, it was like, no, we're not going to be intimate anymore. Then he'd be like, well, you know, you could do this, and you could do this, and you could do this, and put it all on everybody else. He knows how to push the buttons, but he doesn't know how to take accountability for the fact that he just pushed a button.
So he knows what your weaknesses are?
Yeah, isn't that so sad? And he uses them against you.
I think that there, like I said, is a recency bias, and I feel like that there's rewriting of history a lot. And I'm like, okay, let's just be real here. Let's be honest about what actually was happening. It's okay to say, well, he was really good at this, or she was really good at this, or she was really wonderful this way, or, you know, I just feel like to sit there and go, they were all bad, it's just not realistic.
I want us to watch this clip, and then I want your reaction as to where you stand with Robin today.
Okay.
Robin told me she's going to drop off something and say goodbye to Mary. And I know she's not well about this. It's a heartbreak
Wait,
of
she's not well
extreme
about Mary.
proportions that I don't understand.
I know that Robin is brokenhearted about this, and that's something she's gonna have to process through herself.
But I think as time has gone on, when you needed her the most, she wasn't always there.
I quit calling her and texting her because I was the only one doing it. It wasn't meant to be mean. It was just, I need this to be reciprocal if it's going to be a relationship, and it wasn't. In that clip with Robin, it's like, okay, you are having this pain about me leaving. That's a you thing. That's yours to carry. That's not mine. And I think for a lot of times, a lot of years, I was trying to take the blame, and I needed to really learn to let that go. And I think that she had been fighting for me for so long in her own way, and just realizing that it was done, it was over. You know, I think it was a hard moment.
And she was reciprocating as much as she could.
I don't know if she was. I didn't feel like she was with me.
I mean, Mary wanted to fit in and belong and be part of a family, and she was hoping and hoping for so long that everything would be okay because she was being told by Robin, he still says he loves you. That's bull. Whatever.
One of the biggest tragedies about our breakup is, you know, like Jen saying that Robin isn't loyal. You don't even know. But Jen's jealous. She wants to be Mary's best friend. She would never want Mary to have a relationship with Robin because Robin's a threat to her. Because Robin is just safe. Mary just doesn't want to admit that she's safe because Robin's Mary's ex-husband's wife.
Here we go, everybody stand by, please.
And let's take a look at this clip, and I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Their favorite thing about each other, that he puts your luggage on the luggage rack in the hotel room.
Yes! The first time he did it with me was our honeymoon, and he took out the rack and he put a suitcase on it, and I'm like, well, that's bizarre. I thought that he would have given me the luggage rack. But then Janelle, one of the times she mentioned it to me, and she's like, we're talking years down the road. She goes, why is it that he always just uses the luggage rack and I don't? I'm like, right, that's crazy.
So Kody first?
Well, maybe he puts Robin's luggage on the rack. I have no idea. They're such soulmates. He might put her luggage there.
I mean, what do you want to ask me? You know, I think
know.
it's...
Robin gets the luggage rack?
Maybe.
All right, the question I'm going to ask you is, do you get the luggage rack?
Yes, I do.
You do get the luggage rack.
Yep.
You get the luggage rack?
Oh my gosh, this is so stupid.
Why do you think you get the luggage rack?
I sometimes just put it on myself. It's not like a big thing.
Oh, I just want to tell you something. Robin gets the luggage rack.
But it's like, it's really unfortunate you didn't get to experience the fun me again.
That day was just,
Sometimes the truth doesn't come from big fights or fancy speeches. Sometimes it just slips out in the smallest, quietest moment. And on a video that my Kody Brown and her husband Tony Padron posted recently, that moment came from a little kid, their daughter Avalon. What she said wasn't practiced or planned, but to fans of Sister Wives, it hit like a big surprise. Because in just a few innocent words, Avalon showed more about the hurt feelings in the Brown family than Kody himself has said in years. Hey everyone, I'm Mia, and welcome back to Sister Wives Show. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like, especially if you've ever watched a moment on this show that made you stop and think, wow, things are way more broken than they look. And I'd love to hear what you think down in the comments. Do you think kids notice when adults don't get along more than grown-ups admit? Let's talk about it. So here's what happened. My Kody and Tony were making a reaction video for their Patreon, something they've been doing a lot now to give their side of what really happens inside the family. While they were talking about one of the recent tell-all episodes, Avalon, their young daughter, walked into the room. It was totally natural, nothing fake. But what she said next, or more importantly, what she didn't say, became what fans talked about all over Reddit and social media. She pointed out her grandma Christine and right away called her Mimi, a loving nickname she clearly uses all the time. Then she talked about Danielle, another former sister wife, as grandma again. No waiting, no confusion. That's love built on time, being there for someone, and real friendship. But then came the big moment. Avalon saw Robin and went quiet. She didn't seem to know who she was. Finally, she called her my friend. But even then she looked unsure. She didn't seem to know Robin's name. And when Kody showed up on screen, that same pause, that same faraway look. And finally she called him Grandpapa, but only after a moment of trying to figure out who he even was. For a lot of viewers, this was more than just a little kid mixing up names. It was like looking in a mirror, because what that little girl showed with total innocence was the truth of who's actually there, who has shown up, who's present in her life, and who's not. In this huge family that used to live under one roof, that once said they were united in faith and love, a single moment from a little kid made it painfully clear just how far apart they've all become. Now let's step back for a second, because to understand how big this is, we need to talk about the people involved. My Kody, the daughter of Christine and Kody, has long been one of the quieter Brown kids. Not always in the spotlight, but watching everything. Since Christine split from Kody, my Kody has stepped up and started using her own platforms to speak out. Together with her husband Tony Padron, they've started reacting to Sister Wives content, sharing real-time thoughts, background stories, and yes, throwing some shade when it's deserved. And what makes their commentary different is that they're not speaking as distant relatives. They've lived this. They've felt the hurt. Tony, who's often been painted as goofy or laid back on the show, has surprised a lot of viewers with how emotionally smart and brutally honest he is in these videos. He doesn't hold back. And my Kody, who once tried to stay neutral, now seems more willing to call things for what they are. They've become, in many ways, the new truth-tellers of the family. No script, no sugarcoating, just observations from inside the mess. And then there's Avalon, a little kid, a child too young to know the layers of pain, betrayal, favoritism, and emotional neglect that the adults have been dealing with for years. But kids pick up on feelings. They know who hugs them, who calls, who visits, who sits with them. And the fact that she didn't right away recognize Robin or Kody, that's not just about names. That's about being there. That's about who's been missing. Let's be clear, this wasn't some big dramatic fight. This wasn't Christine slamming a door or Danielle walking away from a confessional in tears. This was a little kid just trying to remember a name. But that tiny pause, that awkward little moment, it told us everything. Because let's not forget, Kody Brown used to be proud of being the center of this huge, spiritual, plural family. He called it one house, one family. He wanted unity. But over the last few seasons, especially since the move to Flagstaff, that unity has completely fallen apart. And what this moment with Avalon showed is that the disconnection hasn't just affected the wives and the older children. It's reaching into the next generation, the grandkids, the ones who were supposed to grow up surrounded by love from all sides. So when Avalon looks at Christine and lights up, but glances at Robin and seems puzzled, that's not random. That's memory. That's relationship. And when she pauses before calling Kody at all, that's a reflection of distance, not just geographical, but emotional, and fans noticed fast. The clip from that video started going around immediately, with people commenting things like, "That kid doesn't know Robin at all," and "She's calling Kody grandpa like it's a stranger from a storybook." Some people laughed, others got emotional, but one thing everyone seemed to agree on: this wasn't an accident. This was what happens when people stop showing up. It's hard to watch, honestly, because even if you don't like Kody, even if you think he's brought all this on himself, there's still something sad about seeing a little girl struggle to recognize her grandfather. It's sad for her, and it's sad for what this family used to be. But it's also real, and that's what makes it so powerful. No editing, no filters, just a raw, unscripted truth bomb from a little kid who has no reason to lie. There's something incredibly haunting about a child not recognizing her own grandfather. And not just any grandfather, but the man who once stood at the center of a sprawling polygamous family and called himself the glue that held it all together. Yet in one quiet, unrehearsed moment, Avalon, the granddaughter of Kody Brown, looked at him on screen, paused, and seemed completely unsure who he even was. That pause, that hesitation, it's not just a cute toddler slip-up, it's emotional proof of something deeper. Kody has become, quite literally, a ghost in parts of his own family. This wasn't staged. It wasn't a planned storyline. It happened naturally while Mykelti and Tony were filming, just them and their daughter watching old footage. Avalon immediately recognized her Mimi Christine with big smiles and excitement. That's someone who's been present in her life, who shows up, holds her, talks to her. She knew who Janelle was too. She called her grandma with ease and familiarity. That's love that's been nurtured over time. But when Robin appeared, silence, just a puzzled expression, then a hesitant little, "my friend." And when Kody came on screen, another pause, a confused look, and finally a distant-sounding "grandpapa," like she wasn't sure if that was the right word. It felt forced, like something she'd maybe heard once, but hadn't actually lived. It was such a small moment, no drama, no yelling, just quiet observation. But it spoke volumes, because in a family that once boasted unity, where Kody positioned himself as a present, involved father and grandfather, we now see the truth. Presence has to be earned. It doesn't come with a title. Grandpa means nothing if you're not around. Grandma doesn't stick if there's no relationship behind it. Avalon's honest reaction drew a sharp emotional line between who's actually been there and who hasn't. Her affection for Christine and Janelle was automatic, real, you could feel it. But Robin and Kody? She didn't connect with them. And that detachment is more revealing than any interview Kody has ever done. Because here's the thing, kids don't lie about this stuff. They don't pretend to know someone they don't remember. They don't fake love, and they're not interested in adult politics or family drama. They respond to what's real. If you've been in their life, they'll show it. If you haven't, they won't fake it just to be polite. This moment became a mirror, a painful one. It reflected back the truth Kody refuses to admit, that his emotional absence is no longer just felt by his wives, but by the next generation. Avalon sees Christine and her face lights up. She sees Kody and she hesitates. That hesitation? That's a child telling the truth that the adults have been too careful to say out loud, and maybe that's what makes it hurt the most. What's fascinating about this new chapter in the Sister Wives universe isn't just who's speaking out, it's how they're doing it. Kody Brown Padron and her husband Tony aren't just sitting on the sidelines anymore. They've stepped right into the center of the conversation, using Patreon as their stage. And it's not just gossip, it's reclamation. While Kody Brown continues to present a calm, measured version of events through cameo messages and tightly edited TLC interviews, Kody and Tony are pulling back the curtain. On their Patreon, they sit down together, casual, unscripted, and unfiltered, responding to actual Sister Wives episodes and offering the kind of insight viewers have craved for years. They're not acting, they're reacting, and the difference shows. This isn't about bitterness. It's about balancing the narrative. Kody has lived this story from the inside. She's Christine's daughter, someone who watched the slow unraveling of the family not as a viewer, but as a daughter caught in the emotional crossfire. And now, instead of letting TLC or her father's public statements tell the full story, she's giving fans her version, the real one. Not the cleaned-up spiritual spin Kody version, but the one that includes real pain, real distance, and real choices. Tony, in his own style, doesn't hold back either. He brings humor, yes, but also cutting honesty. He doesn't pretend things were ever perfect. And when they discuss moments like Avalon not recognizing Kody or Robin, they don't spin it. They sit in the discomfort and speak from experience. They confirm what we've seen with our own eyes, that emotional absence can't be covered up with a smile or a sound bite. It's clear that Kody and Tony aren't just commenting, they're taking back control of their story. In doing so, they've become the unexpected narrators of the post-Kody era of Sister Wives. They're younger, more honest, and unafraid to say what so many of the older adults danced around for years. And whether people agree with them or not, there's no denying this. They're telling a truth that feels lived, not rehearsed. And that makes all the difference. If there's one thing that's shifted the game behind the scenes of Sister Wives, it's how Kody and Tony are choosing to speak up. And they're not doing it through interviews or cryptic Instagram posts. They're doing it on Patreon, an intimate, no-frills platform where they talk directly to fans. No editors, no filters, no TLC gloss. Kody, Christine's daughter, grew up in the chaos of polygamy. She's seen the favoritism, the silence, and the emotional neglect up close. And now, alongside her husband Tony, she's pulling back the curtain on what viewers didn't get to see. They react to Sister Wives episodes in real time, offering real context to moments that may seem confusing or one-sided on TV. Tony brings a kind of blunt honesty that cuts through the fluff. Kody offers emotional clarity, not bitterness, but awareness. Together, they've confirmed what many fans have suspected, that Kody's public persona is miles away from the man he's been behind closed doors. And what they say lines up with what's already on the show: the emotional absence, the distance, the lack of effort with the older kids. It's not just drama, it's lived experience. And hearing it from Kody and Tony feels like finally getting the missing half of the story. They aren't just spilling tea, they're rewriting the narrative, one episode at a time, and fans are listening. You, guys, watching Kody after the move to Flagstaff was like seeing a man slowly losing his grip, not just on his family, but on his own role as patriarch. The older kids, especially those from his earlier marriages, felt that disconnect immediately. You could see it in the way Kody struggled to connect or even just be present. It wasn't subtle, it was painful. Then came the tell-all episodes, and wow. Instead of taking responsibility, Kody went on the defensive, shifting blame like he was protecting a fragile image. He acted hurt, betrayed even, as if the distance between him and his older kids wasn't the result of years of neglect, but some sudden act of disloyalty. It was heartbreaking and frustrating all at once. You could almost feel the cracks in his authority growing wider. The death of Garrison hit everyone hard, but for Kody it revealed an even deeper emotional absence. He was physically there, but emotionally checked out. The loss seemed to highlight how far apart he and many of his children had drifted, and it was a moment that no staged family photo could fix. Meanwhile, Janelle was not having it. Her responses during these moments were sharp, raw, and honest. No sugarcoating. She called out the distance and the neglect without hesitation, showing a strength that was both inspiring and sad. Her refusal to play along with Kody's version of events was a quiet but powerful rebellion. Kody's control wasn't shattered with a bang. It crumbled slowly under the weight of his own absence and the women who refused to stay silent anymore. This was a collapse born from neglect, not drama. Robin, she's always been the elephant in the room. There's this unspoken tension between her and the other wives that's impossible to ignore. It's like she's close to Kody in a way no one else is, but that closeness built walls instead of bridges. Janelle's words hit hard when she admitted she never really had a friendship with Robin. That's telling, right? Because when you're part of a family, especially one as complicated as theirs, you expect some connection, some bond. But with Robin, it's different. Distant, guarded, and it's not just the wives. The next generation feels this too. Robin's presence is felt but not known. Avalon's confusion when she couldn't recognize Robin perfectly captures this emotional vacuum. It's like Robin is there, but she's a stranger, someone who's part of the story but not part of the experience. That disconnect says so much about what's been missing all along: genuine warmth, attention, presence. Robin seems wrapped in this aura of preference, but that preference didn't translate into closeness or real love with the kids or grandkids. Instead, it created a gulf. Avalon's innocent question wasn't just about memory, it was a spotlight on how far Robin's walls have kept the family from really connecting. This isn't about blame. It's about what happens when emotional distance becomes the default. And Robin's story shows us just how lonely that can be. What does legacy really mean? If you ask Avalon, it's not about titles or family trees. It's about who shows up, who's there day after day through all the noise and drama. Avalon's instinctive choices, like not recognizing Kody or Robin, speak volumes. They show us that emotional memory isn't something you inherit just because you share DNA. It's built through consistent love, attention, and presence. That's what sticks with us. This cracks open the whole idea of family unity and polygamy, too. The image that's been painted on TV, this perfect blended clan, starts to crumble when you look closer. The myth of all wives and kids happily under one roof falls apart when favoritism, neglect, and emotional distance are part of the picture. But what's interesting is who's stepping up to rebuild. Women like Janelle and Kody are reclaiming their stories, their truth, and creating something real for themselves and their children. It's raw, imperfect, but it's honest. At the end of the day, love isn't about names or appearances. It's about presence. The quiet, everyday moments that make a difference. Absence, whether physical or emotional, leaves scars. But the women and kids who refuse to stay silent? They're showing us that reclaiming your truth is the first step toward healing. Legacy is less about the past and more about who chooses to be there now.